Michael Douglas. Welcome to Dr. Pundit, where we talk about music, not medicine. And this is another one of my obsessions. I was looking through my music feed the other day on some of the sites that I follow, and I came across the bizarre Paul is dead conspiracy. Paul McCartney was alleged that he died in a car accident, and that first came to light 55 years ago on September 17th, 1969. And I've always ruminated about this. Now, one of the oddest conspiracies in all of music, and arguably in the world, is the Paul is dead conspiracy. Now, given the ridiculousness of the claim, the facts have been entirely lost to the perpetuation of disinformation. And one fact that has remained true, however, from the start is the origin of the theory, which came to light when Paul McCartney was, of course, pronounced dead on September 17th, 1969, after a car crash 3 years earlier in 1966. Now, on that day, 55 years ago, it marked the launch of the false claims about Paul McCartney's death and the start of a conspiracy that still gains massive amounts of attention to this day. It just does. In 1969, publications in the States and the UK ran the story that sent the world into shock. Shortly after, the claims came out as false, and the world sank back into ease. But to this day, some people still have their conspiracies when it comes to the original McCartney. Now, as I alluded to earlier, the inspiration for this conspiracy theory comes from a car accident in Scotland in 1966, in which McCartney allegedly died. Following the accident, people believed that the Beatles replaced McCartney with a doppelganger that prevented an outbreak from fans across the world. That was the original intent, according to the conspiracy theory. It was not confirmed that McCartney was in the accident, of course, and that he and his girlfriend had actually been on a vacation in Kenya. McCartney's alleged 1966 accident is what spearheaded the Paul is dead theory, as the theory came into circulation later that year. However, it was 3 years later, in '69, that the theory truly started to circulate and gain attention from the masses. And it was all thanks to one news source, the Drake Times Delphic. Yes, believe it or not, this started at a student-run newspaper in Iowa. Tim Harper, a Drake student, published an article titled, "Is Paul McCartney Dead?" on September 17th, 1969. Points made in the article regarded subliminal messages in the Beatles lyrics and on their cover art. Harper's article created an all-out pandemonium at that time, and people across the globe started to believe the theory. I guess that's kind of a pre-social media viral moment 50 years before that. Matter of fact, it became so popular that the Beatles press officer, Derek Taylor, commented on the matter by stating, "Recently we've been getting a flood of messages and inquiries asking about reports that Paul is dead. And that in the past few weeks, we've been getting them at the office and home night and day." Crazy to believe that this entire movement started at the hands of a music-loving college student. Now, although these types of theories typically start in this fashion, so it's not too off the wall to see, especially now, of course. Nonetheless, the Paul is dead theory is an example of how bad disinformation can be. So in addition to confirming this podcast episode, confirming that Paul McCartney is not dead, it also hopefully told you to keep your wits close to you when reading certain things. I think most often this, again, is history repeating itself with conspiracy theories that literally come out every minute online and in social media. These things, I guess, do have a start, and it's quite interesting from an historical point of view, from a granular point of view, that these things aren't new. They've just flourished and magnified to the point to where they're presented in a much different way today on a range of political and musical topics. I think it's just an obsession of mine, to be quite honest with you, that still continues to amaze me all these years later. I was a year old when that happened, and I don't think I'll ever not truly be obsessed in some form about this. And I don't even consider myself a huge Beatles fan. Oh well, I'm Michael Douglas, and if you like what you see here, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe. That pushes a video through the algorithm and introduces it to a whole new audience in addition to you. So it's great. More people get to see it, you get to enjoy it, and it just perpetuates. As the late great Barry White always used to say, let the music play, and I'll see you on the next episode.